Welcome back, boys and girls, to another episode of Kayfabe Comparisons. My name is Mr. Know-It-All, Daniel John Schaefer, and I am joined once again by Mr. Wex, breaking the loss. And Wex, how you doing today, brother?
Buddy, we are doing real good today. It's a day after the day off, so feeling a little lazy, but I'm excited to get into some wrestling discussion here tonight.
Yes, I'm about as red as a lobster. It seems as though Mr. Jesse Baker has not recovered from this holiday weekend, so I kid. I know he's working on and doing that whole bar thing and running the bar and running those shows. Jesse's going to miss this week. Me and Wex are going to lock it down for you. Today, we have Money in the Bank 2011 versus TNA Destination X 2011. So it's a 10-year comparison on both sides. I'm pretty excited about it. But before we get to it, Wex, did you get any feedback from our trivia show? I felt like we actually had a few people. I actually learned that I intended to upload the video part of Kayfabe Comparisons to the YouTube page, but it's actually just like a video of the audio, which is really weird. So I'm going to fix that. By the time you guys hear this, you will have the actual Trivia Night video up on our YouTube page for free. Wex, do you get any feedback on Trivia Night?
I talked to old Joey Gotch there at the backstage about Cass making his debut. He was pretty excited about that, hearing Cass on the cast again. So people are always looking forward to hearing old Cajun Cass make a return. So hopefully more trivia's here in the future.
That's
so
right.
I can defend my title.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Jesse was a little intimidated because this week it's the former champion and the current reigning champion just going at it.
Funny tidbit there. Jesse did tell me afterwards. He said as soon as we started trivia, his 91-year-old grandpa just walked in and sat down behind him.
Oh, nice.
And sat there for the entire show and then fell asleep right towards the end. So he said it was just like, I can't tell my 91-year-old grandpa to fuck off. So he said he felt kind of weird at first and then just kind of got with it. So maybe that's why he kind of froze up the first few questions.
It is what it is. Be sure to check it out on our YouTube.
Breaths just breathing down your neck.
Yeah, Trivia Night was great. It had definitely an American theme. The KG Cast was there. Jesse Baker was there. Wex Breaking the Loss was there. Mr. Know-It-All, Daniel John Schaefer. It's great. It's actually our only free piece of content on YouTube, so go check that out. Let's jump into this week's show, though, man. Let's get in our Wayback Machine, go 10 years back to WWE. We're living off of the pipe bomb. It's like the current thing that's happening in wrestling, and arguably one of the most important angles of the past 10 years was this entire angle that happened here. The opening package was fantastic for sure. The production quality was great. CM Punk really just kind of turned everything on its head. Just within that 1 month, because, I think it had been a couple weeks before that Del Rio had won a match on Raw to be the number one contender. But because of the pipe bomb, it just kind of changed everything. Do you remember the first time this happened, where you were when you heard the pipe bomb, and what do you think about this open?
I don't remember exactly where I was when I heard the pipe bomb. I was probably, coming home from the skate park or some shit. I don't know. 2011. No, I was definitely either at MTSU or living on Joe's couch. So somewhere in that time period. But great open. This whole, just like you said, this was 2011 had a lot of bullshit because we've talked about it, but this was one of the bright points of 2011 that kind of brought it out of that bullshit.
Yeah, I agree for sure. I agree. Let's jump right into the matches though, man. The very opening match, they kick it off with a bang. It's the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match. And honestly, I felt like the match was better than it really should have been. I pretty thoroughly enjoyed it. That Sin Cara bump was sick through the ladder, crazy. I love kind of getting to see Slater and Wade and Gabriel. It was a nice little dose of nostalgia to see those guys kind of get their spots. Everybody looked good. It didn't really feel too clunky. Solid match, great high intensity opener. Gave it 3.5 beers. What do you think about the SmackDown Money in the Bank match?
Coincidentally, 3.5 beers coming from me too. I thought it was a fun, nice open, some really cool spots. They oversold that 450 splash onto Kane, he just destroyed him, and it was just pretty much a 450 splash from a different position. And Sin Cara, dude, rest in peace. That fucking bump was egregious, and he was always getting Sin Cara had the worst luck, the original Sin Cara. But besides that, dude, Daniel Bryan rules. I like that one little spot where they all jumped there together, they set up all the ladders, and they were, it was a cool just looking thing. But sick cool match, visual. 3.5.
Yep, same boat. And then the next match, really kind of bumps us down and like takes the wind out of the sails. It's a let me up match, but it's only match number 2 here. Maybe not the best booking. It's Brie Bella versus Kelly Kelly for the Divas Championship. And it was what it was. I had very, very low expectations of the match, and the match lived up to those expectations. I gave it a beer because it was quick, and it wasn't the worst thing I'd seen in my life. So I gave it a beer. It wasn't the worst. I'm glad it was there and over. What do you think about this Divas Championship match?
Yeah, at this time in 2011, these were what we called the bathroom break match. It's where you're like, all right, I got to go piss. So, and usually when you piss, you at least piss out half a beer. So I gave half a beer for this match.
That's fair.
And I realized it's KK versus BB. Vince McMahon loves those alliterations. He really
does.
Everything throughout the history is like that. But I really like that botched head scissors too, and just Kelly just yelling a lot throughout the whole. She's just yelling like, I forgot, come on or something, but she's just yelling the whole time. And
the whole time. She's doing that.
Shut up.
The whole like cheesy State Fairgrounds baby face routine the entire time.
Half the fucking beer.
Yeah, it's not great. After this though, we got a Big Show and Mark Henry package. Now the package looked great. It looked like they were leading up to a cool angle. It is pretty ironic that both of these dudes are in AEW now. But it's Mark Henry versus Big Show. And again, I went in with low expectations. Both guys are pretty solid here in 2011 for sure. But a big man versus big man matches usually means a lower work rate. And this was no exception. It wasn't a great work bell to bell match. But it did really establish Henry as a monster, so I didn't hate it. I gave it a beer and 3/4, almost 2 beers. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't great either. That's where I'm at with it.
Well, I enjoyed it just a little bit more because I thought it was a very different type of Mark Henry match. And the way he beat the Big Show, just like you said, they were establishing him as that monster, and he really he whooped the Big Show harder than you really seen anybody. The way he whooped his ass, you never seen the Big Show really get his ass whooped like that. And Henry was just doing a lot of stuff you don't see him do, going off the top and second rope and just doing just a lot of moves he doesn't normally do. And the fact that he picked him up twice, I thought it was pretty solid. It just wasn't amazing, like you said, but still 3 beers, pretty solid.
Wow,
they exceeded my expectations. I was like, Mark Henry versus Big Show. Fuck, this is gonna be horrible. But I was like, it's not too bad.
I mean, I could have given it 2, but 3 beers that's a stretch. I don't know.
It was all right. These guys, I'm saying they exceeded my expectations. So I was like, all right.
Fair enough. Let's keep it moving. It's Raw's Money in the Bank match, and this one was significantly more of a cluster than the first. It had some good moments for sure, but overall way more clunky than the opener. By the way, Alex Riley is an absolute nutcase these days. I don't know if you know that, but he is an absolute crazy person.
So is he like Drake Younger crazy?
Dude, literally beyond Drake Younger crazy. Go out of your way to find Alex Riley and follow him on Twitter just for the LOLs, bro. It's ridiculous how crazy that dude has gotten. Anyway, the Kofi and Swagger bump was super gnarly when they both just ate shit off the ladder.
Dude, that was disgusting. Swagger looked like he got hurt.
Yeah, he really did. Luckily both guys were fine, but it was a very ugly bump for sure. And then, of course, Del Rio winning gives me a big meh. Even still though, I give it 2.5 beers. The guys did their best, but it was just too much. It was too fast. There was no pacing. It was what it was. What do you think about this Raw Money in the Bank?
I gave it literally the exact same rating, 2.5 beers. Not as good as the first one. And that little ladder, that botch at the end with Rey Mysterio was just fucking hilarious to me. It was such a slow, I don't know. It was really funny. And then he just set it back up, and I was just like, that's kind of fucking whack. Fuck Del Rio. And people were kind of booing Rey Mysterio a little bit, which I thought was weird. But yeah, 2.5 beers was not as good as the first ladder match. Definitely not.
But here's another little shining star of 2011, in my opinion, and it's the whole one more match Christian and Orton vibe they kind of had going on. The package there was really well done. The Del Rio promo was shitty as always, but then the match here is Christian versus Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. Stipulations being if Randy loses DQ, count out, or poor officiating, Christian instantly becomes the champion. I thought it was a damn good match. I thought it was great pacing, great psychology, a fantastic work rate, some really good false finishes. The crowd was super hot for it too. This might actually be my favorite match between these two guys. I think this is their best one of this series of matches that they had. And the finish, I mean, with Christian, like, I mean, huge spit, like, in Randy's mouth. Like, the heat was massive, and it was a great step to get the finish, too, and have Randy just lose his mind and, like, beat the hell out of him afterwards. I thought it was really well done. 4.5 beers from me. What do you think about Christian and Randy Orton here in this cool stipulation title match?
Yeah, I thought it was definitely a cool story, and it's like you don't really see that matchup type very often. Like occasionally you do, but never for a world championship.
Right.
That's kind of what made it like over the top and extra. And like you said, that spit, it was the visual of that whole thing, and then the fact that Randy Orton didn't just low blow him and that was it. He just beat the fuck out of him, which it just made it a little bit more like intense and gave it more emotion for the match. You're like, all right, he's really laying into him. And like you said, and I think it's one of the better Randy Orton matches, honestly.
Stipulation got you tongue tied, bro.
Yeah, I did have my tongue tied a little bit there, but Randy Orton, I mean, this was like probably like 2011 is when his work rate was like starting to get really good.
Yeah.
Compared to the old younger Evolution days, which is it was all right, but this is when he was really starting to work it. And like I said, probably one of his better matches in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think this match specifically is kind of like a gemstone in both guys' career, especially this feud for sure. But let's keep it moving here, man. And we're here to the main event. It's only a six match card, which is nice. 2011 WWE. I appreciate that. You should learn some from that because, wow, way too many matches on current pay-per-views. But yeah, here we go. It's CM Punk versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. Coming off the pipe bomb, we do know that CM Punk is leaving the company. His contract is up the day after Money in the Bank. And it's a classic match, man. I mean, the match is really, really good between both guys. One of Punk's best matches for sure. And I know that might piss some people off, but it really is one of CM Punk's best matches, in my opinion. I genuinely believe, too, that this program is was like the mental turn that Cena needed, where he started really changing his in-ring style. He wasn't just the 5 moves of doom. It was only a couple years after this where we, got the open challenge. And I really feel like both guys delivered on a main event level, and we don't get that enough in any of wrestling. I'll say even with AEW, with anything, this was two massive stars in a main event pay-per-view, and they delivered. That is sadly kind of rare these days. Like, it really doesn't happen very often. And this is a six beer match for me. Absolutely top-notch match. Probably match of the year for 2011.
I didn't quite go 6 beers, but I mean, I went pretty close. I went 4.75 beers. Almost 5, but dude, like when you talk about electricity in a wrestling match, like think about back to Hogan Rock.
Yeah.
Like, this is like the crowd was so goddamn hype, and that's what made this extra hype. And dude, the facials from John, it's just everything in this match, like hitting the double.
His selling was insanely
kicking
good.
Out and kicking out of the AA, then the whole fact, even Vince still tried to come out there and screw him, and he kicks Del Rio in the head. Just everything worked perfect with this match. And just like you said, that whole thing you're talking about, John Cena's in-ring work, I literally was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, this is just pre John Cena really starting to work. And this was just like you said, one of that first match where you're like, wow, Cena can really go.
Yeah.
It was one of those. This was probably the first match where I had respect for Cena afterwards. He lost, and I wasn't I was like, all right, he held his own. It was actually a pretty solid match. It wasn't just, like you said, 5 moves of doom Cena. And I literally agree everything of what you said. I didn't write down that exactly. It's a little different, but it's crazy that we're thinking the exact same thing watching this, because I guess it's just obvious if you're a wrestling fan and you can just see that transition. But dude, great. This one of the greatest WWE championship matches of all time.
I would agree. For sure.
Matches. And like you said, the story, this whole
thing, especially
at
a Money in the Bank. Yeah.
And that's random that it's at a Money in the Bank pay-per-view. It's probably the best Money in the Bank pay-per-view match ever. Period.
Probably. I would agree. I would agree with that for sure. I would say that's probably true.
Yeah, I can't think of any random match at Money in the Bank that was just this level, story-wise, with the stakes surrounding it and everything. Because John Cena was supposed to get fired, right? Wasn't that a stipulation also?
He did get fired. Yeah, he got fired after he lost the match. Yeah.
Exactly. So there was so much. He gets fired. CM Punk's leaving, taking the title. Del Rio's got the Money in the Bank. There's just like so much surrounding it.
The kiss, man. Blowing the kiss to McMahon and walking out through the crowd in Chicago.
I've never, ever even been a huge CM Punk fan. But this
Same. This is easily the best angle that, like, okay, to me, CM Punk is like an upper mid-card guy. Like, really is. Great promo. But this one angle, he was like, he got the mic right at the right time and pushed himself over the edge with an amazing promo. And because he quit early, there's still so many fans. Because honestly, like, he had, 2, maybe 3 years of main event work. He was out of the company by 2013. Like, so
exactly.
It's like, what did he have? A 2-year run? Like, okay. Like, I mean, that's why when people are like, oh, CM Punk's one of the greatest ever. I'm like, no. I mean, is he great? Sure. Did he find a way to become the guy in WWE? Yes. There's only a handful of people that can say that for sure, but
I'll make one comparison. One of the other greatest of all time only had like a 3-year main event run. Stone Cold Steve Austin. And WWE, he only had about a 3-year main event run where he was like,
well, it was more like 7 years, but yeah.
Not 7. Think about it.
It was like 97 to 04.
No, 03, 98 is, I'm talking about from 90. It was like 98 to 01 was his true like main event run. And then after that, because before that was him leading into it, becoming the main event. But 98 to 01 was when Austin was.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. I don't think that. I mean,
but there's the potential for CM Punk to come back. Austin can't come back.
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
He's got the fucked up neck, courtesy of Owen Hart.
We'll talk about that when we get to news and notes and the current wrestling that's going on. It's a little teaser for you guys to stick around, some CM Punk juiciness later. But yeah, let's keep it rolling here. I will say match of the night, I think we both agree, is definitely CM Punk versus John Cena. My honorable mention, if you're going to watch one match, watch that one. If you're going to watch more than one, go ahead and check out Christian versus Randy Orton too. Be sure to watch the promo package before. Even if you weren't keeping up with the week to week, if you just watch that promo package, it'll get you to the state where you'll understand it, and it'll be easier to suspend your disbelief. Those two matches are pretty great. Let's jump on over here to the TNA show, Destination X 2011. I thought the opening package was kind of cool. Tenay and JB on the call. I haven't, seen a whole lot of JB on commentary, so that was interesting to me. Have you heard a lot of Jeremy Borbash like being on commentary? Borbash.
Not really, because I didn't. I would catch TNA shows during this era every once in a while, and that's just. It might have been just for this show because they brought back the 6-sided ring for this show because they took it away because old Hogan and Bischoff
didn't like it. Yeah. They felt like it looked too weird, wasn't appealing, which I strongly disagree with. I wish somebody would still use it. I think it's just cooler.
AAA still uses it.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I don't, you know what I mean. Let's get into the card here, though. Match number 1 is going to be Kazarian versus Samoa Joe. It's a high intensity start. Joe just kind of casually walking away from the dive like that Kazarian tried to throw on the outside. It was beautiful. Kazarian took a hell of an ass whooping, man. It was a good opener, maybe a bit too long, but a good match. I was right in the middle on it, gave it 3 beers. What did you think about Kazarian versus Samoa Joe here?
Pretty much agree with you, and the finish was very weak. Probably one of the weakest finishes ever, that roll up, and I probably could have gave it 3.5 beers if the finish wasn't so weak, but yeah, I agree with everything else you said. 3 beers.
3 beers overall. Let's keep it rolling here. We're just going to burn through these some bitches. The next one is Douglas Williams versus Mark Haskins. Weird promo by Doug here to kind of get things going. Felt like it was a filler match. I mean, it was lots of quick, like, near falls, but it definitely had that, like, British style. But the match was, I don't know. It was good for what it was, but it didn't deserve to be on a pay-per-view, especially a, X Division centric pay-per-view. I gave it 2 beers. What do you think about Doug Williams versus Mark Haskins here?
I literally gave it the exact same rating, 2 beers. Mark Haskins was probably not ready for this position at this point in his career.
I don't know if he's ready for that position right now in his career, honestly.
And yeah, you could have Doug Williams versus probably anybody else on that roster, and you probably got a way better matchup. I don't know why. I guess they were just trying to, show the new blood, the new British guys. But yeah, 2 beers.
Yeah. So between the next couple matches here, we got actually pretty decent Austin Aries promo. I mean, the guy, whether he's a dick or not, you got to give the devil his due. He was a pretty good promo at this point in his career. Austin Aries was definitely a sought-after talent in 2011.
Oh, yeah.
But the next match here, speaking of sought-after talent, it's Generation Me, which is the Young Bucks versus Eric Young and Shark Boy. I don't know, man. It's mostly a ha-ha match. There's some good spots, but there's definitely some clunk in there, too. Definitely longer than it needed to be as well. All in all, it was kind of like a feel-good finish for the baby faces, but with the talent in the ring, I expected a little bit more, and it just kind of left me flat. I gave it 2.5 beers. What do you think about Generation Me versus Eric Young and Shark Boy?
I gave it the exact same rating yet again. I think this is a record.
I think we're knocking it out.
Beers. And, dude, that's a fucking record right there. And yeah, same thing. I was like, it's Generation Me, the Young Bucks. They're gonna probably do at least a few cool high spots in this match, and they had a few cool double teams. That's really about it. And yeah, they got called that Shark Boy stunner. It is what it is. And they were using the mid card title just as like a joke at this point with Eric Young. So it was just kind of like the match didn't really mean anything.
I agree. It's just, I mean, Eric Young at this point is essentially like TNA's Eugene, and they're like kind of getting him over that way. He's the ha-ha guy. Shark Boy is obviously doing like the Stone Cold ripoff. And I feel like Generation Me in their minds was like a throwback to an 80s tag team. Little did they know the Young Bucks would become, one of the most innovative tag teams in pro wrestling history. But yeah, on this night, Generation Me couldn't cut the mustard. 2.5 beers from both of us. And then we get a Zima Ion promo in the back, which is absolute garbage. And we got a promo for the Ultimate X match. Seemed like it was going to be awesome. And so here we go. It's Shannon Moore versus Robbie E versus Amazing Red versus Alex Shelley. And I'm interested to hear what you think about this Ultimate X match first.
I definitely had higher expectations coming into it because of two of the people who were in the match. But then the other two people, you can probably already guess who the other two people are by me just saying that. Robbie E and Shannon Moore. They kind of stunk up the joint, and it kind of made – I feel like them stinking it up kind of made everybody else start to stink it up. And, yeah, it just wasn't that good of a match. It was just I've seen way better from everybody, and Robbie E looked like he was trying his damnedest, but he should not have been in it. It just was not for him. This match is not for him. Amazing Red tried to do some cool shit and kind of fucked up too on a few of them. And like that whole back jump off moons, it did not work.
No, it didn't work at all. I mean, I feel like the matches are always kind of cool because like of the idea. It's a unique idea and it works for the X division. But you need time, and honestly, like 4 people didn't feel like enough. Like maybe it's because of a 6-sided ring. Maybe it's because most of the other Ultimate X matches had 5 or 6 people in them. But I don't know. It wasn't long enough either. It actually made me feel like those matches that I complained about being too long had gone too long, and they decided to cut the time here,
which is stupid.
Yeah, it's very.
But I only gave it 2 beers.
This is an overwhelming record because I also gave it 2 beers. I mean, we have like our notes. We can just figure this out, but like we're 4 matches deep. So we're literally halfway through this card, and we have literally rated all of these matches the exact same. Let's see if we can keep it going. There's a decent little Loki promo in the back. Not great, but he's never really been a stick man, if you will. So it was what it was. There was a cool promo for Jerry Lynn and RVD. I really appreciated that. That was one of my favorite aspects of ECW. I would argue that Lynn and RVD is the main feud that made RVD get the level of attention that he got, becoming Mr. Monday Night and like starting to have those matches on Raw. It was because of the matches that he had with Jerry Lynn, in my opinion. A lot of people say it was Sabu. I disagree. I think that Sabu has always had botches in literally any match he's ever been in ever, and somehow is still beloved as like this amazing wrestler when he's I don't get it. But either way, Jerry Lynn versus RVD has always been great. And sometimes when you go back and you watch like those matches from 96, 97 ECW, or like if you're watching like wrestlers from the WWF in like the 90s, and then you'll see like Kevin Nash come back and wrestle CM Punk in 2011. It's like, oh, in my mind, it's like this is going to be so good, but then it sucks because they're not where they were, right? So I was like kind of nervous going into watching this because I was like, well, I love 97 RVD and Jerry Lynn. And this is 2011, bro. Like this is, this is a well over 10 years past this. Like, and I got to say, this defied my expectations. I mean, it was an excellent match. Both dudes looked like they were in their prime. It was absolutely incredible to me. Up until this point, it was match of the night. And I will tell you this, it only got edged out by a half a beer. And I gave this match 5 beers. I love Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam here. I thought it was phenomenal. I would argue, I would honestly put this match up against any of their ECW matches as well. I thought it was that good. They were sharp. They didn't look like they were winded. They both looked like they were in their prime. I absolutely loved it. What did you think about Jerry Lynn versus RVD here?
Literally right before we started this, I was watching the match again, and they do so much innovative shit. Like some stuff I'd never seen them do before at that point in their careers, and they're busting out this shit. Like, this is my match of the night. If you want to go back and watch one, definitely go watch this shit. Like, they pull out all the classics, doing new shit. RVD gets busted open. It gets real intense. The crowd's fucking into it. New effing show, whole effing show. I mean, crazy. And Jerry Lynn and apparently Jeremy Borash used to be roommates. He said that on commentary. He goes, yeah, me and Jerry Lynn were roommates for a long time in Minnesota. And I was like, well, that's random as shit. But
I forgot you told me that. Yeah.
But I went 4.75 beers for this match. So it was all we finally disagreed only by it's only by a beer. Exactly.
Yeah. A quarter of a beer. I gave 5 solid beers. I thought it was great, man. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And I really actually thought that I think what I liked the most about it too is that it almost felt like, because Jerry Lynn was such a TNA original guy, that like it almost felt like for the first time in their rivalry, Jerry Lynn was like the true babyface. And like, Rob Van Dam was getting like those Rob Van Dam chants because he's Rob Van Dam. But like, still, like, I felt like the crowd was mostly behind Jerry Lynn. I love to see it. Jerry Lynn was definitely playing the babyface role in the match.
And they were chanting Jerry. Yeah. As soon as he came out to the ring, it was huge Jerry chants. They were in it.
I thought it was great. Man. But let's keep it rolling here. Let's keep it rolling through this card. There is a butt-ass, babyface, fresh Jack Evans with his promo in the back. Yeah. And that poor kid should have not had the mic at this point in his career at all. But let's get to the match. It's Austin Aries versus Zema Ion versus Loki versus Jack Evans. The winner gets a TNA contract. I mean, the match was good. It wasn't a lot of psychology, mostly high spots. And I got to say, Aries looked the best in this one. He looked like the best guy. He should have won the match. It made sense to me. So I gave it 3 beers. I was dead in the middle on it. What do you think about this TNA contract match?
I liked it just a little bit more than you, and I thought it was like just a classic X Division style match, just breakneck pace, them just doing just fucking crazy move after crazy move after crazy move, which I know there's not really any psychology to that, but sometimes I like to watch matches like that. It's just fun to see that sometimes. That fucking Loki, I mean, it's cool to see Loki kicking the shit out of people still in this match, and that nice brain buster from Austin Aries. I enjoyed it. 4 beers. We even got a chant of like sign everybody. There was a sign everybody chant.
Sign everybody. Oh yeah, that's right. That's true.
Because it was just, I mean, they were all just fucking.
And they did actually. They literally signed all of them back. Actually, no, I don't think they signed Loki, but they definitely did sign Zema Ion.
I don't think they signed Jack Evans, did they? This is the only time I can remember him being in TNA.
I think so. They signed Aries and Zema Ion, but either way. So the next match on the card here. Let's keep it going. It's Abyss in the back with a promo on Brian Kendrick. So I love Brian Kendrick. I liked the whole Captain Hook Brian Kendrick when he came back right after the Cruiserweight Classic. I thought that those first couple months of 205 Live were great with him kind of at the helm, no pun intended. I thought that he was a really good asset. I think that he's been kind of underrated. I remember the TNA days in the Asylum in Nashville and him having matches there and him being incredibly good. And I always felt like he never really got a fair shake. Like I felt like if he was put in the right situation, he could have been the guy. But I think I was just wrong because this match was a disappointment to me for sure. It was just too much gaga. And maybe the Office felt like they were into Brian Kendrick, and they were like, well, can he wrestle like a main event style match? Like, this is very much this is the only thing on the show that felt very WWE. Not only that, but like 2011 style WWE. Like, very, very overbooked, overcrowded. But I will say the crowd ate it up. The crowd there loved the match. Like, I just wasn't into it. But I got to give it, like, I mean, the crowd was literally hot as hell for this match. I mean, they were losing their minds. Brian Kendrick was over at this moment in this building. And I got to give it 3 beers because, I mean, I was like, I don't like this, but the crowd was literally losing their shit. And it was what it was. 3 beers for me. What do you think about Abyss versus Brian Kendrick here?
I only gave it 2 beers just because there was so much, like you said, gaga, extra bullshit going on the outside, like interference. And like you said, it was booked. It had that fucking Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff stank all over it.
Yeah.
It did not flow like any of these other matches. Like you said, the style was completely different.
I could do something with that Kendrick kid, brother.
I know, and it's the X Division. The X Division is not like just the mid-card title. It's a fucking, like, it's a whole X-step style of wrestling, and this was not booked like an X Division match. It was just...
No, yeah.
And I like Brian Kendrick, and Abyss is all right, I guess. But like I've always been a fan of Brian Kendrick, even back with Paul London, the tag team champions, and I've always been a fan of him his whole career. So ain't no fault to Brian Kendrick. He just that's the way they booked it, and that's the way they wanted him to work it. But yeah, 2 beers for me. Too much extra bullshit.
Too much extra bullshit. Well, let's get on here to the main event. It's a nice, cool package of nostalgia that they've been putting in throughout the show, but we get a big production for AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels. Listen, I know they had a lot to live up to because they'd wrestled a lot. But I thought the match was incredible. I mean, I don't think you could ask for much more than what they gave. Like, I mean, they felt the pressure. They knew that they had to outdo themselves, and I think that they did. It was great wrestling without having to lean too gimmick heavy. Like, because at this point, they're both baby faces. They're both friends. They're in a Fortune, like, little faction together. And it's like, they both worked the match without having to either quote unquote pour on heat or quote unquote get shine. Like, this is, if you're going to have 2 great baby faces, like, this is the way to do it. Like, I mean, if you're going to have 2 good baby faces go against each other and have them both end as baby faces, this is the way to do it. Great selling on both sides, lots of space between the spots, like, great psychology too, man. I loved it. I thought it was great. I gave it 5.5 beers. Not quite the 6, but I give it 5.5 beers. Love Daniels versus AJ Styles. What do you think, man?
I really enjoyed it, and I rated it higher than my match of the night just because it was undeniable. Come on now. The Fallen Angel, the phenomenal one. I gave it 5 beers.
Wow.
Just a little bit higher rating than that other match. And dude, I can't agree more with all the things you said. Like, so many like great spots, like the selling was great, and the whole thing, like you they set up like the whole respect match. Like, this is that, like, we got to final, like, see who's the better man without it being, without it turning into a heel, or like without them playing into that heel role. They still worked like babyface the whole match and hit all the classics. AJ Styles was like this. I think this was like prime AJ Styles. He was. Oh,
for sure.
He was.
Well, I don't know. I'd say probably 2014. I would say IWGP AJ Styles was probably a little bit better than this.
But I don't know. I feel like he was still more rounded. I don't know. He was really good at this point. And I feel like, and this is when he really started developing more of the style that he does now. And this is when he started wearing the same style gear that he still wears now.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like just around that era that he started. Yeah. Like, same thing we said, John Cena. This is when Cena and Styles became like their best versions of themselves.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. I will say that, like, it's tough. Like, this, Jesse was a good booker here. That these 2 shows delivered on both sides. I think, to me, though, the angle of arguably the year, if not the past 5 or 6 years, is going to be that CM Punk. It's going to be that CM Punk one. You know what I mean? Not just in 2011, but I think up until CM Punk pretty much quit the business, that angle was the hottest thing that had happened to the WWE in a long, long time. So to me, I got to give the edge overall to Money in the Bank 2011, but I'd say it's probably by a beer, maybe by a beer and a half at most. Where are you at on it?
I think compared to my ratings, I think that TNA Destination X takes mine just by an ass hair.
Wow.
Just
So
by an ass hair. And I think what did it was that Kelly Brie Bella match, because it was a half a beer.
Yeah, that's fair.
All the other ones my lowest rated was a 2 beer on the other one. So
that's fair. But I gave a 6 beer match to.
Yep,
CM
you did give a
Punk
6
and
beer
John
match.
Cena, so like when you give a 6-pack, that's pretty much the tipping point.
And the fact that there's more matches on TNA. So
that's true.
That's
true. That is true. So with an average.
But I'm still gonna that ass hair because even if I take only if I averaged it out though, say I combine the two beer even if I average it out, it's still that ass hair over for TNA for me. So we're gonna agree to disagree today.
All right, well that's fine. Let's just keep it rolling here. Let's keep it rolling. That's going to conclude this kayfabe comparison. It's a split decision, boys and girls. Mr. Know-It-All is
Jesse's going to have
the bank.
He'll have to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I'll have
next
to have him
week.
tweet about it.
He will be the official tiebreaker.
Yeah. Okay. So that's right. Tune in next week to find out who actually won this kayfabe comparison before we bring you a next one. But either way, I will say that my personal choice is definitely Money in the Bank. Wex is going with Destination X. But now we're going to get to the good stuff, some current stuff. What I am now calling on the show, the news and notes of kayfabe comparisons. So, Mr. Wex breaking the law. So, what do we have on the docket? I do know I'm just going to go ahead and just kick this thing off. I know might be about a couple days late here, but I know that Vince McMahon went to the Performance Center with the quote unquote heavy hitters. And there's going to be a lot more changes coming, more main roster cuts, more people being called up. I know we talked about this on the last show, but it seems like they're also letting producers like Mr. Sanjay Dutt just go free and go to wherever they want to go. They're also seeming to let, he's already there now already.
Yeah.
So it does also seem that the competitors are going to be let out of their non-compete clause, which is crazy to me. Do you think, this is my question for you, Wex. This is my question for you. Deep down, do you think that Vince wants a real, a true competition again?
Maybe he does. Maybe he knows it'll light a fire under his ass and make him start making better shit. But he's getting really old, so I really don't know if he even knows what's going on, period.
I think he's immortal, so it won't matter.
Yeah, he does do inhuman shit. He he just eats like protein bars and steak and doesn't sleep.
Yeah. Pretty much all the time, yeah.
And he pisses excellence.
What else we got on the docket, though? What else is going on in the news?
Breaking news. Our favorite repeat DUI offender, Jimmy Uso, just got himself another Dewey today. And WWE is not happy. They are very upset about it. And a decision is going to be made on the DUI reportedly soon. I don't think let's see if there's been any update. Because the last I checked, there had been no update of what
not getting fired. It's not happening. They're gonna. They might do it like a rehab, go to rehab or get fired.
He blew a .205.
So to me, there's so much innuendo there. When I saw that, I thought it was like the Onion headline. He blew 205. Okay. As they're literally trying to eliminate the 205 Live brand. I legit thought that tweet was that's mean. The guy's got another DUI. You shouldn't make jokes about it so soon. But no, he legitimately, you can't, that's not even wrestling. That's not, Vince Russo couldn't write this shit. He blew a 205. That's crazy. That's
hilarious. They're going to relegate him to 205 Live now because he blew a 205.
I think that they are probably going to do a mandatory, you got to go to rehab or go to TNA. I feel because I don't even think AEW would take just one Uso at this point, honestly.
Pull a Kurt Angle, just go to TNA and stay on drugs.
Yeah, or Jeff Hardy, or literally anyone else that did it.
There's some other bad news. Terry Funk had to get put in a home because he's suffering from dementia.
Yeah, I did hear about that. There's only so many death matches you can go through. There's also only so many steel chairs you could be hit with, and also be. Well, how old is he now? 80 something?
Yeah, he's getting up there, dude. He's old as shit. And if you guys remember, if you guys listened last week, Terry Funk was the answer that I gave on the final question to win the Kayfabe Comparisons Trivia Championship.
Yeah. He's not yet 80. He's 77 years old.
Okay. Let's see if there's any. I know there's some more news on here.
Well, there's a big one here. There's a big one that you're leaving out, so I'm just going to go ahead and give you the finish.
Okay, pull it off. Pull it out.
Zelina Vega officially made her return to SmackDown. How weird is it that they hired her back, but we still haven't heard shit from Aleister Black? I honestly feel like they're probably going to hire him back too. I feel like we are in a situation where like The Office is like. Also, I think Tyler Breeze is getting his job back. Like, there's certain guys that I think are like. They're just waiting until they can start getting revenue from like the live touring. Because Tyler Breeze is still Tyler Breeze on everything. He's still doing all these up, down videos. They're still calling him Prince Pretty. They're still calling it, I mean,
well, maybe he got fired from his wrestling contract, but maybe he has another contract for like YouTube or something.
Production or something like that.
Yeah. And maybe.
Oh, no. He's not. I mean, he doesn't have a contract for the YouTube channel. He talked about that on his Twitch stream. That was the mark that decided. Because I honestly,
he brought his Twitch stream back though. He did bring that back.
He did. I've always thought, like, since the early NXT days, I think Tyler Breeze should have never maybe should have been in a tag team with Fandango for a little bit. Like,
no, but I loved just like you. I loved OG's. Singles Tyler Breeze from NXT.
Ridiculous. He's a fantastic wrestler. There's no reason for honestly, I would love him to just be Matt Clement and come to like AEW and just be the guy. Because he can still work.
Story that I did read today is that Bailey apparently has been really upset that he did get fired because he'd been like helping her train a bunch of the other girls train and work on their shit, including Eva Marie, who had just returned.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's breaking news, and she's now tag teaming with the former Piper Niven from NXT, and now she's called Dewdrop.
Right. Oh yeah, Dewdrop. How does that even work? Like, what is going on with that? Well, first of all, you have already pushed her as Piper Niven, like in your brand, like. You can't. I don't know.
No, WWE main roster acts like NXT doesn't exist from the main like continuity, like because they just like how they do. They'll just change someone's name and everything when they come to the main roster. Like they act like that doesn't exist. If you're in NXT and you have two names, you're gonna lose your first name when you get called up at some point. They're gonna take that motherfucker away because Vince is like, nope, I didn't create that, but I made this up.
Antonio Cesaro, Biggie Langston.
He lost his last name, but Alexander Rusev,
Adrian Neville,
Matt Riddle lost his for a little bit, and they gave it back to him.
Thank God. That was so stupid.
There's probably more we're missing out here, but there's got to be more.
I'm sure there's more, but who cares? Yeah. What does it matter? What else we got on the docket, man? Anything else in the news and notes? It honestly has been kind of a slow week.
Crazy Drake Younger is supposed to be starting a podcast soon. I don't know what that's going to be all about.
Ooh, I'm sure it's going to be about QAnon. I'm sure it's going to be about how there's lizard people in the White House. I'm sure it's going to be a real life Lord of the Rings style fantasy set in a post-apocalyptic utopian time that he believes that we currently live in because he's a crazy person.
Only other news I can think of is that Raw sucked last night. I watched some like little highlights from it.
I tried. I was like, you know what?
Terrible.
I was home. I was like lobster red from being out on the lake on the 4th of July way too long. And so I was at home and I was just chilling. And I was like, you know what? I'm here. It's 7:00. I don't think I've watched Raw live in a long time. I'm going to turn it on. I got through like less than 10 minutes. And I was like, okay. First of all, why are we still in the Thunderdome? Like, why did it take you this long to get fans back? Or even I
think next week they're going to have fans, but see, AEW's been ahead of the curve.
Yeah, but okay, this is what I'm saying is the 17th is when they go back on the road, right? Like that's when they go back on the road. But they've had residency at this Tropicana Center in Orlando where they're doing the Thunderdome for months and months. So they could have easily. Like, you're already running the Thunderdome.
Or did like a minimal amount of fans like AEW started
Not
doing.
even that, dude. Why? Like, it's an arena. Do you honestly think that people in Orlando wouldn't show up for WWE live events again for like 3 or 4 weeks in a row?
Yeah,
because they absolutely would. Like
they were going to Orlando Magic and other kind of games.
Exactly.
And shit.
It's like, dude, why? Like, are you still trying to show off that you have this? Like, we're all trying to forget it. Like, hey, kudos to you. I get that. Like, it's great that you invented the Thunderdome for a really awkward time, but like, we all just want to forget about that shit. So when I see a wrestling show now without fans, I'm like, oh yeah, that was from last year's shitty world.
I got something. Next weekend will be Slammiversary Impact, and they're gonna have fans, and me and old Jesse Baker are probably going to be working that event, helping set up some shit and helping set up the Destination X thing.
Oh, nice.
The Ultimate X match. The Ultimate X thing.
Very cool.
So I don't know if we're gonna like get free tickets and be able to like just watch the pay-per-view if we're gonna help set up.
Probably, I would assume so.
And I'm sure they would want as many fans in the crowd as possible.
Yeah.
So even if they put me in the back, I'll get hype. Trust me. I'm excited
for that.
I'm a mark and a fan first, always.
I will go ahead and say that if they get in, we'll do a little. I'll make sure they're on the Twitter, on the KFabeCom Twitter, and if we can get a few little live videos in there, we'll do what we can. Slammiversary, it's gonna be hype. I'm excited about it. Let's talk about what we got coming up on the docket here as we wrap this one up. I know it's a short one, guys, but it is what it is. It's been the holiday weekend. Jesse's at work. And yeah, it's a 10-year comparison, man. It's been a slow news week. What do you want from us, guys? What do you want from us? We're not Dave Meltzer. We don't just make shit up on this podcast, okay?
Yeah, exactly. We don't just make stories and just be like, yeah, she was dating my dad. Like, no, nothing like that.
All right, well, next week is going to be awesome, though. Next week we have WCW's Great American Bash from 1991, a solid year for WCW for sure, against WWF Invasion 2001, probably the best pay-per-view of that year. I actually know that one by heart. I do know
the Ring 2001.
I said one of the best. Yeah, okay, that's fair. One of the best. But I will say the Rob Van Dam Jeff Hardy match from that show specifically is phenomenal. Be sure to check it out. It's incredible. And then 2 weeks from now, we do have Slammiversary versus Extreme Rule. Or I guess it's Money in the Bank now, isn't it? Money in the Bank 2021.
Yes, which I don't know. Jesse's apparently going to be working. I don't know how he's going to do the podcast that week because he's supposed to be working that night for TNA, like working some TNA shit that night for TV.
Well, we will see. I just thought about it. If I have to do it by my damn self, I will. Because
I'm not because I got to work because I told him I could only do the weekend days.
Yeah, I agree. I'm there with you on that. That Tuesday. Well, then it looks like you and I might be covering Slammiversary 2021 versus Money in the Bank from 2021. I always love doing like two current shows from two opposing companies. I'm not saying that Impact and WWE are on the same level, but it will be cool because by this time we're gonna have live crowds, right? I mean, we're gonna have. I mean, so and
we're gonna have a Kenny Omega match going up against a because Kenny Omega's still the Impact World Champion. We're gonna have some big shit.
He is. I'm very excited to see that.
And we're probably gonna get some returns, some former WWE people popping up.
I think so.
It's gonna be a big night. It's gonna be a big deal.
I believe so as well. I think it's gonna be nice and tasty. You know what? I've had a great time here. You can always find bonus content at patreon.com/kayfabe comparisons. I will also make sure to have the full video version of last week's show, the trivia show. If you get a chance, it's less than an hour. Watch it. I guarantee you will be entertained. It was super fun to do. The KG Cast is quite the host, and he was using a Kinect from an Xbox 360.
Those zoom-ins are sick.
So the zoom-ins, when he like looks down and says something stupid, are literally comedic gold. I will make sure that you guys can see that. And that's a little taste of what you see every single week at our Patreon. We probably have the cheapest Patreon in wrestling podcasts. It's $5 a month total. Just hop on there, man. We have a great time. You can always find the show at KFabeCom on all its socials, except for TikTok, where we do our match of the week every week. It's at KFabeCom Pod. It's only at KFabeCom Pod because Wex is an asshole. By the way, Wex, tell them where to find you, bro.
You can find your boy Wex Breaking the Lawson at Wex Breaking the Lawson over there on Instagram and on YouTube. And that's pretty much it. And Twitter, it's Wex Breaking the because I couldn't fit Lawson. And y'all know what it is.
Oh, Oh, I love it. I love it. You can always find me personally at Daniel Daybreak. I am on at Daniel Daybreak everywhere. And by the way, I just got a brand new Xbox Series X. If you feel like testing these hands, you can always come hit me up and follow. I play Call of Duty. I play Halo. I play probably every sports game that you like. And I'm pretty good at video games, honestly.
Well, I'm not as good as Daniel at sports video games because he's whooped my ass in some, and I've seen golf definitely. I'm
not bad. I'm not bad.
Me in the golf.
Let's play some NHL. Let's play some Madden.
But I play all them too. I am also on Xbox. I got the Series S. I didn't go for the X. I didn't go that high. But I mean, it's still next gen. We still next gen up here. But I'm Wexley666 on Xbox. That's been my name on Xbox since 360.
How classy and original, Wex. You're so original. You're so defiant. You're such a rebel with that 666.
Well, and I'm and I can say it's because I'm a fan of 666 Mafia and many things.
Let's go. Let's play some Madden,
though. I'll fuck you up on some Madden.
Bro, I will take your lunch money any day. Maybe we should stream that. Maybe we should just get that on there. Okay. We do also. We're getting close to the beginning of the preseason, or at least like the beginning of the actual like off-season time, like the training camps and everything. And we definitely got to have a brand new Daybreak and the Lawsons. We're gonna have to get on there to throw it back up on the Patreon. Also, I think maybe we should put it on our YouTube channel as well, because it's nice to spread out into the real sports world. We got to start talking about that a little more. If you're interested in that, we might actually even have another channel to subscribe to just for like football content, because definitely once football starts, we will be talking about that significantly more. But I promise you,
foosball.
Oh, we do love some foosball. I promise you, kayfabe comparisons will stay the same. We'll always have awesome wrestling content coming to you every week. That's going to do it for us. We will see you guys next week. We're out. Peace. Peace.